Hi. Okay, you're going to hear me say this again and again. What are the government powers over land? There's a lot of questions that come from this on your state test. So that's why I use this acronym, and you'll hear me say it again and again. But can you say it? Do you remember? It's all for you. So, Pete. Who's Pete? Policeman Pete. Ash sheet. Ash sheet. What does that mean? You know what it sounds like. God. Yes, okay. Well, a sheet means when, just remember the government ultimately is still kind of like the king. Even though we're on the allodial system, it still derives all from the feudal system when the king owned everything. Well, these concepts still kind of exist. Our government is kind of like the king. Somebody's got to be in charge. Somebody's got to be responsible, left holding the bag when people disappear. So if somebody abandons their property, the land goes back to the government. That is known as ash sheet. Now, what if you just didn't really abandon it and what the statutory period for your state was, I don't know, what if it was 10 years? Ours is, I think, 21 in Ohio. But if it was 10 years, and let's say you went and you got into like some trouble and you were just in jail and you came back within that statutory period and now the government has taken over your land because they think you abandoned it. Ash sheet, right? Well, that's a sheet. Another one is if a person dies intestate. So if they die with no living heirs or a will, they're called intestate. The land reverts back to the sovereign state, which is known as a sheet. So that's a sheet too. And I always think of, I don't know if I showed you guys this or not, but I always think of this right here. So let me just tell you about this skit real quick. So number one, think P, government, sheet. This is a sheet. What does that mean? It's a government power. The government takes the land. Look what the definition is. Read that. Didn't I just use some of those words? Yeah, I did. But you should be able to summarize it up on your own, okay? So read that over. These are in your slides, inside your class. Number one, look at this Mr. Dying, okay? He is dying. Here's the nurses. Doesn't look like he'll make it. What a shame. No family or heirs to even tell him goodbye. Number two, yes, what a shame. Whatever will happen to his beautiful home and land. Number three, Mr. Dying with no will or heirs. He doesn't have a will, and he has this girlfriend that was promising him everything, and he promised her everything, but there was no will, so they both are like, sheet. Probably more her than him. That could be him. I mean, he probably really cared about her. It's not like he wanted to be a liar and not leave her anything. So, sheet. The land reverts back to the sovereign state, and the government power that allows them to do that is known as a sheet. Okay, so Pete, police powers. Those are all your zoning, all those local rules, okay, that enforce, that say you can build there, you can't build there, you can't do that, you can't do that. That's police power, that they're policing things. Then you have eminent domain. Let's look at that. Eminent domain reminds me of dominating, like the government dominates you no matter what. So what I always think of is no matter what, do you really always own your land? Well, you do until the government decides that they want to come in and use it for public use. Yeah, they're done. They're going to dominate you. They're going to send 3 appraisals out. And eventually they just roll on it and they take your land for just compensation. Okay, so that's where that value comes from. You can say yes right away or no, whatever their offer is. But just remember, it has to be for public use. So if they're going to try to build a church, that's private, so they wouldn't be able to take it for that. And then, so we've talked about police, eminent domain, eminent you're not going to win. Then everybody knows tax. We talk a lot about tax, how it makes a community desirable. A lot of property owners, a lot of taxpayers. That's huge. Tax. That's what you want to sell the American dream. You want to sell property owners because they are what contribute to the community and make it desirable and makes everything go around. 75% of the nation's wealth directly related to real estate. Remember that. Then we talked about a sheet, and you know them all. Okay, so if you can talk a little bit about each one of those and remember the P acronym. P, who's P? Policeman P. Ah, sheet. I hope that helps you. Believe me, it helps me. And you will have questions like that on your state test. So hopefully you remember that. Remember, sometimes taxes are expressed in dollars and sometimes they're expressed in mils. All right, have a good one. Keep up the hard work.